Alright, everybody, and welcome back to another edition of Knicks Verse. And today we are looking at the Golden State Warriors, their head to head matchup, little look into last season, and see what they're doing this season. So, as you could tell from the page here, we've played a total of 346 games against the Warriors. They have a record of 182 against us, and we have 162 wins against them. With them playing 2 times a year, I don't know when. It'll take a very long time until the Knicks try to get to this. So, till then, 162, 182. What you'll notice is we've played them twice in the playoffs, and that's when they were the Philadelphia Warriors. As you can see here, they're 1-0 in a playoff series against us. That was all the way in 1947. So we have never had to worry about the Golden State Warriors in the playoffs from 1948 on. Interesting. Last season, as you could see, we won a game and then we lost. January 21st, we won that game. February 23rd, we lost that game. So the Warriors have a 1 game win streak against us. And typically we play them about 2 times a year. Of course, the Warriors were really good. We had a very, very large losing streak going into the 2019 season. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 games in a row that we lost against the Warriors. Of course, they were amazing. But then started to pick up a little bit. Remember last season they were okay. And then the 2019-2020 season was short. And also the 2020-2021 season was also short as well. Late start for last season, the season before it finished. Now let's take a look and see when we're going to play them again. And for this season, we're going to see them December 14th and February 10th of 2022. So 1 game this season, 1 game next season. Now let's take a look a little bit into their stats and see what's going on with the Warriors. They have a bona fide scorer, I'll tell you that much, and a lot of them can rebound, as you can see from their numbers here. Draymond leads with blocks, Steph leads with steals and points. Draymond leads with assists and rebounds. Interesting. So they're getting good production from their players. If you see Andrew Wiggins getting 18 points, 4 rebounds, not really too many assists. They don't really foul too much either, so their only problem is they don't have many bigs. That's the best way that you can probably beat this team is abusing the paint and hoping that you get good touches, good looks in the paint. So Julius Randle, Mitch, Obi, RJ, if he can, well, he's in COVID protocol, so is Obi, but Julius, Mitch, Noel, these sort of players can probably thrive. D Rose can also drive into the lane, something to keep in mind. And IQ has a good floater, and he can give lobs to Mitch. So those are the things I'll touch more once we're at the end of the video. But look at their scoring output, and for the most part, it's just 3 players. I mean, people will score, and you're getting good overall production from this team. But they have their main guys. They have their guys that are going to do their thing. Take a look at their injuries. Andre Iguodala will sit against the Pacers on Monday, which is today. So we may see him against the Knicks. Wiseman's out, and Klay Thompson has been out for a long time. So we'll see what happens with them. Depth-wise, let's see what they're running. Curry, Poole, Wiggins, Draymond Green, and Kevon Looney. And then they have Porter Jr., Damon Lee, Gary Payton II, Juan Toscano Anderson. So they mix and match with their team. They're a very quick pace, sort of small roster. Which, I mean, hey, listen, it's fine. It's a good team. I mean, look, they're 21-5, winning that style. And look how the losses are few and far between. Lately, I don't want to say regressed a bit, but their losses have come a bit more frequent. They've had win streaks like it's nobody's business. Started the season 4-0 and then went 4-1 and then just completely started killing it. Curry scored 40 twice, 45 in the second game. Nuts. That's just crazy. So far they've lost to the 76ers. So I think if you can lose to the 76ers, you might have a shot at losing against the Knicks. San Antonio and Phoenix. And then they also lost to Charlotte and Memphis in overtime. They had Ja. Charlotte's not a terrible team. Charlotte's a pretty competent team as well. Of course, when you lose to Phoenix, that's understandable because they're a great team. Although San Antonio and Philly, and Charlotte as well, gives a glimmer of hope. And their next game is at Indiana and then at New York. So if I had to wager, if you had to look at this game, maybe Knicks could get the first, and then they play February 10th. They'll be home for 2 games, but both back-to-backs. Interesting. That might change it up a little bit. So we'll see. We'll keep that. Let's look at the Knicks stats right now. We are 12 and 15. We are getting our production. RJ's out, so we're going to look for at least the first game for Randall, Fournier, IQ. I don't know if Alec Burks will come back, but Mitch and D Rose. Maybe we can get some help from Grimes since he went off a little bit. Maybe Kevin Knox will wind up coming in. It's interesting that I'm even saying for Kevin Knox to come in, but we are undermanned, so you will have to adjust and make do. But at least they're in the system, and they've been in the system. At least in Knox's case, he's been in the system. He's been in really 3 systems, if you think about it, 3 or 4, with Tibbs being the most recent. So we're going to have to make up for any sort of Obi loss. Obi would have been great in this game, unless they would have stopped him. But overall, we're getting a double-double from Julius Randle. We're getting assists from our bench player. We're not really stealing the ball too much, and we're not really getting as good production, rebounding, like the Warriors do. Let's look at their stats again. Curry's getting 5 rebounds. Draymond Green's getting 7 rebounds. You have other people pitching in, so if anybody needs to kind of come in, the Warriors know what to do. If you notice, I guess now with Kemba being out of the rotation, the minutes are slowly getting scattered about, and I think it's because Tibbs wants to play his bench a bit more, since that's the group that probably produces the best over the starters. So that's why these numbers are kind of looking at you from a minutes perspective, and they might jump out and pop out a little bit. You can argue that eventually, once you kind of get that cohesion for the Knicks, that the mix between starters and benches, once they kind of come in, could unleash a offensive prowess with somewhat of a above average defensive average to above average defensive breakdown of a team, but it's going to take effort from this Knicks team to try to make something, which of course is going to be led by Julius Randle. But somehow, some way, this team's potential, they could congeal. They can through a sense of like coming together. The starters could wind up sitting, and then the bench players will come in and bring productivity. And then when the bench comes out, the starters will come in and bring their productivity. And that might be a monster eventually at some point. When that some point will be, I don't know. And is that potential there? Yeah. Will they access it? Only time will tell. But this Warriors team isn't bad, man. I'll tell you, this Warriors team is pretty decent. If you look a little bit, I'll just keep this up so you see where they are in the standings. They're second in their division, and that's only by 1 game, half a game, because they're 21-5, and they have the Clippers and the Lakers in their division as well. So, despite these records for both LA teams, it's still a tough division. Of course, Sacramento is Sacramento. The main issue, I think, with the Warriors, if I had to pick one, is their lack of size. The Knicks' potential to defeat them, of course, we'll be seeing them in back-to-backs, which is why it gives me a little bit of hope. And with Curry trying to go for that 3 record today, or just continuing that trend to try to get to it, I think a lot of maybe pressure will be on the team. So the Knicks could possibly get the first one and then maybe lose the second one. If I had to give my opinion, I would say because the Warriors are hot, if the Knicks could win a game, it might be game 2. But we're going to need productivity from our bigs, and we're going to need bully ball, playing inside. And don't shoot as many threes if you don't need to, because this Knicks team tries to get back by shooting threes. High percentage shots, and really defensively, you have to not play loose, but make sure that you're up on your guy, because they're going to pass the ball, and they're going to move. And they're going to continuously want to move and pass the ball. That ball movement is going to work. And then you have to watch out for Steph Curry threes from any point and anywhere on the floor that's beyond the 3-point line. It can happen from anywhere. It just kind of is what it is, and you're going to have to go into this game feeling as if you're a team and they fight against you guys. And who knows, with Tibbs' sort of defensive style of make everybody else but the star defeat us, maybe we can contain Steph Curry in some sort of way. I'd like to see Randall and Curry maybe match up a few times, a battle of the 2 All-Stars from last season. I mean, Randall might be playing at somewhat of an All-Star caliber, but he's regressed. The numbers have regressed overall, though he's picked his game up over the last maybe 2 weeks. So my overall prediction, I would say, for these games is 0-2. If we had a potential to win a game, maybe the second game on the back-to-back. The first game is also intriguing because there's a lot of fanfare going into the Warriors, and Curry with this 3-point record trying to surpass Ray Allen. So maybe we can kind of capitalize on that But I would say 0-2, possibly winning, either of those games. I like the fact that it's back-to-back, so we get a chance at them. We'll see what happens. All right, thanks, guys. That's been another edition of Knicks vs. Golden State Warriors.